Urban mobility is one of the defining challenges of the 21st century. As cities across the world continue to expand at unprecedented rates, the question of how people move through them efficiently, sustainably, and equitably has become not merely a matter of convenience, but of economic survival and environmental responsibility. Most cities respond to this challenge reactively. They widen roads, they introduce more buses, they patch and extend systems that were never designed for the populations they now serve. Copenhagen chose a different approach entirely. In the span of 2 decades, Denmark's capital transformed itself from a mid-sized European city with a conventional transport network into one of the most cited examples of urban mobility excellence in the world. Its metro system, compact, driverless, architecturally distinguished, and seamlessly integrated with the city's cycling infrastructure, has become a global benchmark. This is an examination of how that was achieved and what principles guided every decision along the way. To understand Copenhagen's metro, one must first understand the strategic context in which it was conceived. In the early 1990s, the city faced a significant urban development challenge. A large tract of land to the south, the Oristad Peninsula, reclaimed from marshland, had been designated for a major new residential and commercial district. The question before the city's planners was straightforward in its premise, but far-reaching in its implications. How should this new district be connected to the existing city? The conventional answer road infrastructure and bus services was considered and ultimately rejected. Copenhagen's urban planners had closely observed the consequences of car-centric development across post-war Europe: congested arterials, fragmented neighborhoods, degraded air quality, and the systematic erosion of public space. They concluded that repeating those patterns in a newly developed district would be both short-sighted and irresponsible. The decision that followed was bold. Rather than building the neighborhood and retrofitting transport afterward, Copenhagen committed to laying the metro line first. The transit infrastructure would precede the population. The city would be designed to grow around its rail network, not the other way around. This reversal of the conventional planning sequence proved to be among the most consequential urban decisions Copenhagen has ever made. A transit station in most cities is treated as functional infrastructure necessary, unremarkable, and largely invisible. Passengers pass through it without engagement. Its design communicates utility, not dignity. Copenhagen made a deliberate departure from this norm. The city commissioned an international architectural competition for the design of its metro stations. Each station features soaring, column-free platforms, natural light channeled through glass vaulted ceilings, exposed structural concrete treated as a deliberate aesthetic choice, and unobstructed sightlines between platform level and street. The spatial experience is one of openness and clarity, a direct and intentional contrast to the claustrophobic, poorly lit station environments found in many older transit systems worldwide. This was not purely an aesthetic ambition. The design logic was grounded in a well-established principle of transit psychology. The quality of the built environment directly influences a passenger's willingness to use public transport. A station that communicates care, order, and spatial generosity signals to its users that the system respects them. It reduces uncertainty, mitigates anxiety, and critically shifts the perception of metro travel from obligation to preference. The distinction between a city where residents choose public transport and one where they merely tolerate it is, in large part, an architectural question. When Copenhagen's metro opened in 2002, it did so as a fully automated, driverless system, a distinction that placed it among a very small number of transit networks globally operating at that level of technological sophistication at the time. The decision was not without public skepticism. Questions regarding passenger safety, operational reliability, and the long-term implications for transit employment were raised in the years preceding the network's launch. These were legitimate concerns, and they deserved serious consideration. 2 decades of operational data have since answered them definitively. By eliminating human operational variability, the primary driver of scheduled deviation in conventionally operated transit systems, the Copenhagen Metro achieved a peak service frequency of 1 train every 2 minutes. Every Copenhagen Metro station was built with covered, secure bicycle parking as a structural component of the station's architecture, not a supplementary feature added after construction, but an element planned from the outset. The reasoning was strategic. A metro station accessible only on foot draws its ridership from within roughly 500 meters. A station that integrates seamlessly with cycling infrastructure draws from a radius of up to 5 kilometers, expanding its effective catchment area tenfold without extending the rail network by a single meter. The outcome is measurable. 62% of Copenhagen's residents commute daily by bicycle or public transit. This figure is frequently attributed to Danish cycling culture, as though it were a matter of national character. It is not. It is the direct and predictable result of infrastructure designed to make the sustainable option the most convenient one. When the system is built correctly, behavior follows. Not culture, infrastructure. In 2019, Copenhagen inaugurated the City Ringen, a fully underground circular line of 15.5 kilometers, serving 17 stations across the city's most densely populated inner districts. For neighborhoods such as Nørrebro, Vesterbro, and Frederiksberg, it was the first direct metro connection to the city center they had ever had. These were areas characterized by diversity and density, but historically limited in their share of transport investment. The effects were immediate and compounding. Businesses around new station exits reported significant revenue growth within the first year of operation. Residents of previously underserved districts gained access to employment opportunities that had formerly required private vehicle ownership to reach. The City Ringen did not merely move people more efficiently, it redistributed opportunity across the city. Access to rapid transit is not a luxury amenity, it is an equity instrument. Copenhagen built one. What ultimately distinguishes Copenhagen's metro is not its scale. The network remains modest relative to the systems of London, Tokyo, or Seoul. It is the consistency of intent behind every decision over 30 years of planning and construction. Routes were designed around residential density, not land acquisition costs. Stations were conceived as expressions of civic dignity, not merely functional throughput. Cycling was integrated as a structural network component from the beginning. And construction continued steadily across 17 years. Multiple governments, and shifting fiscal conditions, until the vision was complete. These are not uniquely Danish principles. They do not require Danish geography, Danish governance, or Danish levels of public investment to apply. They require clarity of purpose and the institutional commitment to sustain it. The question is not whether Copenhagen's model can be replicated, it is whether other cities are willing to make the same choice.